Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Sthatar Saraswati A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kota Vaishnavinda Ki Shri Prabhupada Ki Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Shri Radha Govinda Madhava Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to Shri Guru and Grand Gosi Shri Prabhupada Namo Vishnu Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Name Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesha Sanyavadi Pastichade Shatani Jai Shri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, text number 23. Correct. Text number 23. The title of the chapter is Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva. Please repeat. Satsevaya Adirgaya Api Jata Mai Dridha Matihi Hitva Avadhyam Imam Lokam Ganta Matjanatam Asi. Does it go higher? No. Ow. It doesn't go any higher. Yes, that's all right. I guess it can manage. Satsevaya excuse me. Satsevaya dirghayapi Jatamai dridamatihi Jatamai dridhamatihi Hidvavadyam imang lokam Gantamajjanatamasi Satsevaya Dirgayayapi Jata Mai Gridamatihi Hitvavadyami Manglokam Gantamajjanatamasi Satsevaya Dirgayapi Jata Mai Dvidamatihi 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 Hitvavadyami Manglokam Gantamajjanatamasi. Ladies. Satsevaya Dirgayapi Jatamai Dvidhamatihi Hitvavadyami Manglokam Gantamajjanatamasi Satsevaya Jatamai Dvidhamatihi Hitvavadyami Manglokam Gantamajjanatamasi Satsevaya by service of the absolute truth. Adhirgaya for some days. Api even. Jata having attained. Mai unto me. Dridha firm. Matihi intelligence. Hitva having given up. Avadyam deplorable. Imam this. Lokam material worlds. Ganta going on. Going to. Matjanatam my associates. Asi become. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. By service of the absolute truth, even for a few days, a devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. Consequently, he goes on to become my associate in the transcendental world after giving up the present deplorable material worlds. Do you all know this word, deplorable? Is it known to everybody? Deplorable. Excuse me? It's same in French? What does it mean? Same thing, I guess. It means deplorable, right? What does deplorable mean in terms of descriptive? I mean, pardon? Those who are not French speaking may not have heard the word in English either. What do you mean? Repulsive, you could say this. Yeah, repulsive, deplorable. So, who's speaking? Who's speaking here? Is it Narada? He's quoting though, isn't he? Previous verse, O virtuous one, you have only seen me, seen my person, and this is just to increase your desire for me. Isn't it the Lord? Isn't he quoting the Lord after his, initial darshan, and then, of course, the consequent not being able to see the Lord, so to speak, hankering for that, and then the Lord spoke to him. So it's a little bit, as he says here, a devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. So the Lord is speaking here too. You could say Narada speaking because he's repeating what he heard from the Lord to Vyasadeva, but it's the Lord's words. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, serving the absolute truth means rendering service unto the absolute personality of Godhead under the direction. No problem, you need some help with your crutch there. Is it okay down there? Okay. It'll be all right. It'll survive. Under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master, who is a transparent via medium between the Lord and the neophyte devotee. The neophyte devotee has no ability to approach the absolute personality of Godhead by the strength of his present imperfect material senses. And therefore, under the direction of the spiritual master, he is trained in transcendental service of the Lord. And by such training, even for some days, the neophyte devotee gets intelligence in such transcendental service, which leads him ultimately to get free from perpetual inhabitation in the material worlds and to be promoted to the transcendental world, to become one of the liberated associates of the Lord in the kingdom of God. If you were asked to comment on this verse, what would you focus in on?
The qualification of the guru.
Okay, that's one aspect, the qualification of a guru. You, Emily?
He says that in several days.
Pardon?
That he says in several days.
In several days, yeah. In just a few days, one can develop the intelligence, as Prabhupada mentions here. Just after a few days. Anything else?
Getting free from perpetual inhabitation until
Getting free from perpetual habitation. Habitation? Inhabitation. Getting freed from perpetual inhabitation. It's kind of similar. or being encased, or perpetual, always. We cannot say when. For eternity we've been, seems like, immeasurable, let's say, usually is the word immeasurable, time, encased within this material world mentioned here, is deplorable material world. Anything else?
Going from neophyte devotee to be an associate of the Lord in his kingdom.
Yeah. Going from being they're all related, of course. I mean, the qualities of a guru, without the association of a guru who has that position or that quality, then that will not develop, or it will be very, very, very difficult, slow, as Prabhupada says here. The neophyte devotee has no ability to approach the absolute personality of Godhead by the strength. This is another topic you could mention, which perhaps would be a normal one to speak on. The neophyte devotee has no ability to approach what? Supreme personality of Godhead by the what? He has no ability. By the material, his present conditioned or material senses, his present imperfect material senses. There's no ability. That is, putting it all together in one sense, is the subject that could be discussed also. Anything else? Pardon? The sun is shining. Yeah, we could discuss the sun is shining. Maybe that's the best topic. It's how the neophyte devotee gets intelligence. Yes. Quite a few points. We're going to think. Can someone bring me the Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 22. Sanatana Goswami, teachings to Sanatana Goswami, I believe. I think it's Sanatana Goswami. On the process of devotional service. In one sense, what we're seeing here in summary, the whole topic here is repetitive throughout the Bhagavatam, approached in different ways, because individuals are at different states of conditioning. And Narada Muni, last chapter or two, we've been hearing his transformation, isn't it? And this is a continuation of that purpose of, you could say, the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is to create that transformation. Not just a philosophy, but a literal, realized transformation. Prabhupada mentions Chaitanya Charitamrita chapter, Madhya Lila chapter 22. As Prabhupada mentions here, after a few days, a devotee may get that intelligence, real intelligence, to understand. Or before I carry on, Sita Priya was scheduled to give class this morning. But, probably it'd been better if you'd given it. But somehow or other you wanted to offer your class.
Which verse?
You found it?
Which verse?
Yeah, which verse? Good question. I think it's something like that here. We'll see. It's not difficult to find. We see that when someone comes to the Krishna consciousness, especially, it could be anyone. Transformation takes place very quickly sometimes. It may not be, as Prabhupada says here, will lead him ultimately. It doesn't mean immediately one experiences that. Even Narada Muni, he can quickly realize what his objective goal in life is. He was kept on hold, you could say, for some time. Example. In our case, we oftentimes come in contact with Krishna consciousness. It varies, but it's quite common that immediately it's like the lights come on. You may not see things clearly, but it's like the lights come on. This is it. Many times in Srila Prabhupada's, and it happens with others too, of course, in Srila Prabhupada's association, immediately a person gives up all the, what we term as the 4 primary sinful activities, pretty much on the spot. Starts chanting Hare Krishna, even physically, externally shave their head, or if ladies, they put on a sari or something. Tilak, neck beads. It can happen real quick. Sometimes it does. And your whole direction of life can change almost like that in no time. When we say a few days, when instead of a few days here, it can be taken literally, but we understand the path of devotional service is progressive, and it takes time. It evolves, grows like a plant. Grows like a plant. Watering the plant under the right circumstances, the plant may grow. So the key feature of this transformation, of course, has been mentioned already, I believe. What was the key feature in Narada Muni's case? Yes, he had that good fortune of getting the association. We see in the second chapter, this is, you could say, a literal display of the verses in the second chapter. And throughout the whole Bhagavatam, we see this, the involvement of the basic principles given in the second chapter of the first canto, where this transformation takes place. It's emphasized here, it's emphasized in the third canto with the teachings of Lord Kapila Dev, all through the teachings of Jad Bharat Maharaj Rahugana, the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. We see it throughout. This infallible, it's the only way that transformation takes place is by association. As we become conditioned in this world, and we develop our various concepts, our consciousness is covered by the modes of nature, by the association we have in this world, where our conclusions, our perceptions, our whatever it is tinted in that way, and we tend to look at everything accordingly. So the change takes place even materially by association to some degree. We're constantly changing our understanding, our goals and so on. But the real transformation takes place when it goes away from different varieties of conclusions within the material modes of nature, goodness, passion, or ignorance, to a transcendental one. That's evoked only by one who is transcendental, you could say. And the spiritual master is actually above the modes of nature. One can act on his behalf, of course, and give direction. Through Prabhupada's books, we have that direction. It's literally there. And in the association of devotees who are applying the teachings of Prabhupada's books, we see it, that the change takes place. That potency is there. For those who are following, they're empowered by the pure devotee to act on his behalf. This is going on in the second chapter of the first canto, and we can read some verses briefly. Many of you are very familiar with these verses. The second chapter is entitled, who knows what it's entitled? First Canto, chapter 2. Any volunteers? Pardon? On the right path, divinity and divine service. Just for what it's worth. Having established in a few verses to the Goswami what is the objective, how we can remove the effects of this material association, and how we can understand the objective goal of life and the means to obtain it. He then becomes more specific in text 16. The means of attaining it is focusing on Krishna with attention. But then more specific in text 16, 17, 18, 19, and so on. In English, the verse is, O twice-born sages. Srila Goswami is addressing a grand assembly of saintly people. O twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. It was described in the previous verse that hearing the messages of Vasudeva is the method to cut through the bondage or the ignorance, the modes of nature which we're presently under the control of. To get free of that knot, guna means knot, to get free of those gunas, the process is to remember the personality of Godhead. But we don't have much of a taste because of our conditional situation. But by serving those devotees, as Narada Muni did, isn't it? He served the Bhaktivedantas. He may not even be fully aware of what was going on here, but he had that opportunity by good fortune to serve the Bhaktivedantas. They're described. Those who know the conclusion of the Vedas. He had the chance during the rainy season to serve them. And serving them and associating, he became eligible to hear from them, taking the remnants of their prasadam in a very favorable way. He was also very innocent. He wasn't particularly interested in anything. Like most people nowadays, he wasn't addicted to, games or PlayStations or whatever it is that children do. And he was open. So he took full advantage and absorbed himself in their association. And thus, he became eligible, as this verse here says, O twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done, knowingly or unknowingly. By such service, one gains an affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva, which is the medicinal cure for our material ills, or for our spiritual ills, whichever way we look at it. But it cures the disease of misidentifying with the body and forgetfulness of Krishna. By hearing from the right source, Nivritta Krishna and Nivishatashu Pagiyamana, Bhavoshiti Chotu Manobhirama. Hearing from the right source is the means for removing the Bhavoshiti, the disease condition of identifying with this material world, which results in birth and death, again and again. It's the Oshalya, the Oshadi, for curing that, to hear the message from the right source. So to develop the actual favorable or the attraction, as Narada Muni has developed that intense attraction. His attraction is he wants to see the Lord. He wants to, objective has been established in his heart, and he wants to achieve it. So when actually hears from the right source, then that desire can develop. In this case, is mentioned by Srila Goswami, an affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Vasudeva is another name of Krishna. It develops. It's not something which happens mechanically. It develops by the mercy of Krishna. He gives us that taste. He gives us that taste. And that taste, you could say, is, how does he give us that taste? When we serve his devotees. When we serve those devotees, particularly those who are freed of all vice, but those who are assisting those who are freed of all vice, that's also considered serving those who are freed of all vice. The next verse is very specific in this regards. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, or super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages. What is a truthful devotee? It's an interesting word. Maybe it's different words used in different places, but here Prabhupada says the truthful devotee. What is a truthful devotee? Yes, ma'am. Pardon? Without duplicity. Good point. Yeah, without duplicity. Honest. It doesn't have an ulterior motive, I suppose you could say, but he's open like that to hear. Has faith. As faith is a very significant feature here. Narada Muni, you could say, he had strong faith in those Bhaktivedantas, at least it developed by association. So he was definitely non-duplicitous, as has been mentioned. He was very simple, straightforward, open. It's probably a whole subject to discuss. The word is satam, of the truthful. Satam. Prabhupada maybe goes into it, I don't know. But Krishna removes those coverings within our heart. When he sees that we're truthful, sincere, non-duplicitous, submissive to the pure devotee. Faith in the holy name. Simple one, huh? By associating with a pure devotee, we get this opportunity to receive the opportunity to associate with the pure name, Krishna. If we have faith, Yaschadevi Parabhakti Tadeve Tagoro, if we have that implicit faith in the holy name, in Krishna and the spiritual master, everything's revealed. It's not a separate endeavor. It includes endeavor. It includes, faith in the spiritual master. It means we apply his instructions. It means action, as Prabhupada says here. I think in today's purport somewhere. It means practical service. It's not just a philosophical or a theoretical conclusion. It's a practical application of the words of the spiritual master, putting them into practice. So that being put into practice, and the next verse states, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, elsewhere Prabhupada describes it, or translates it literally as being by regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. Interesting, sometimes said destroyed almost to nil, almost completely destroyed. It means the same thing. Why almost completely? Why not completely?
This is a small form of Nishta, there is more.
Yeah, when we're at that stage beyond the Narta. So this is a big topic, the growth, or the development of the creeper of bhakti. By associating with devotees, it starts off with usually good fortune, a little Gyata Sakriti, and that Gyata Sakriti leads to a little sadhu sangha of some kind, meeting a devotee somewhere, finding a pamphlet, some little Gyata Sakriti is there, getting a little prasadam or something, and it gradually grows Then maybe some follow-up, is there some attraction, some little bit, and then when we get a little chance to associate a little bit more, and a little bit of attraction develops, little faith may start to develop in hearing from a devotee or serving, and gradually one may start to practice some form of devotional service, and progress through the stages of practical service and by practical rendering of service in stage of bhajana kriya, that the anarthas at different stages are removed. They're not removed necessarily all at once. The process of removal starts all at once, but the complete eradication of this contamination may take some time. Usually it does. We're still attached to it. We still have attachments to the material concepts or the material objects, or some anarthas, unwanted desires or perceptions or objective attractions are there, and it may take time before they're eradicated proportionally to our attraction to devotional service. Prabhupada describes in the Bhagavad Gita, there's those beautiful verses in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, sometimes described as the seed verses. You know those verses? Aham sarvasya prabhavo atak sarvam prabhati. The second of those, what's the second? Machita magapana mori oriyantak parasparam katayantas chamam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. This subject matter of hearing and chanting and the association of devotees is very joyfully performed, very aptly, very joyful. Prabhupada describes in the purport how generally our first attraction is to the service. We like the service, we're attracted, whatever that service is, some kind of service. There has to be some taste there, difficult to carry on without a taste, isn't it? Maybe we're faith is strong or something, but it is difficult. We need some kind of taste for which we're always hankering. So usually the taste is there in the service. It impels us on. Some impetus is there. It can come real quick. So, but as you say, that this eradicates our attractions to the material because we're becoming absorbed in service, or we're becoming absorbed in reading, chanting, hearing, whatever. One of the 9 limbs of devotional service, at least. Some attraction has to be there. It may be kirtan, it may be deity worship, it may be everything, but some attraction has to be there. Hopefully not an attraction to become famous or to become the controller of the temple or to become wealthy, or those things may be slightly mixed in at certain stages, but we shouldn't make them our objective priority, that's for sure. So, and the other factor is, of course, is that, well, Prabhupada gives the example, isn't it? When you take a cup, here we have a cup of water, I guess it's pretty clean. I can see the bottom of the cup at least. It tastes pretty good. So it's clean water, you can see through it. But when it's dirty water and you pour, say you have a cup and you just keep pouring, you don't empty the cup, you keep pouring the clean water in, gradually the water in the cup over a period of time will become cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. But there'll still be a tiny trace of dirt. It's insignificant, like a tiny spot on the moon, which you can barely see, and which doesn't interfere with the moon rays. So that little drop will be there, that little anartha, which can, of course, up to the stages of bhava bhakti or ecstatic devotional service, may still be there. And the risks are there that we may become again inclined in that direction. Possible. Generally not, but possible. When one reaches the stage of nishtha, one would hope that one doesn't look back. But whatever. So it's still there. And as long as we're in contact, I mean, Prabhupada describes also that as long as we have a material body, material desires will be there. the process of devotional service is an eradication of an artist. There'll still be a trace there in like a cloud, a little cloud in the sky, but one is not attracted to it. It's there, but it's not interfering with our primary attraction towards devotional service, or towards hearing and chanting, or in Narada Muni's case, towards Krishna. That darshan which he had of Krishna. Wanted to see that form again. But you had to wait. The example in Narada Muni's case, maybe that's not the case, but in our particular case, yes, we still have some misconceptions, some attachments, whatever it is. And in that fire of separation, if you could say, if you want, but in the fire of devotional service, in the association of devotion, gradually burned up until there's no interest anymore in anything separate from pure devotional service. The next verse says, as soon as irrevocable, cannot stop, irrevocable devotional loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. And one understands it's not just material goodness here with me. Material goodness is always tinged with some form of passion and ignorance, manifesting as some degree of lust, greed, anger, and so on. It's always there. Maybe lesser, maybe not prominent, but it does come up under certain associations. But for one who's freed of the effects of passion and ignorance, material passion and ignorance, and is situated in Shuddha, pure goodness, completely happy. That's evoked in the association or developed in the association of those who are pure. Thus, established in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. More or less the same as today's verse is saying. Intelligence. That intelligence. Krishna gives that intelligence. Isn't that what he says in the next verse of the 10th chapter? What does he say? You're the pandit around here. I think devotees, one of the first verses you generally learn, isn't this one? It's a very, very beautiful, common verse. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. What does it mean in terms of, translation into English? Somebody else. What's the meaning? You don't have to word for word. What's the gist of the meaning?
To those who serve me, constantly with love and devotion, I give them the understanding by which they can go to me.
Exactly. It's what is going on here. We serve. We may not have, the realization of the conclusion exactly, but we've accepted it. We have faith in it. And by following the pure devotee's instruction, which is basically what this is, then the Lord gives the understanding. He's in the heart. He's also Guru, Chaitya Guru in the heart. He appears outside through the external manifestation of super soul, the pure devotees of the Lord. And by that method, Krishna gives the understanding. He guides the devotee. We may have to go through a few ups and downs, a few unexpected challenges. It's not by chance. It's all part of clearing the path. A few days ago, 2 devotees from Paris, you may have seen them, Rasa Parayana and Ekanath were here. They were going to see a house which had been left in somebody's will to the Paris temple. So they went there and they had the address. There was no key for the house, they were told. They would have to break the door down. But it took them almost 2 hours to reach the door. They arrived at the gate, external gate, but to get to the house door took almost 2 hours. It was a jungle. It was a jungle, and it wasn't just an ordinary jungle, it was thorn bushes. And there they were with, their little tiny, no shoes, nothing, And it took 2 hours. There was a lot of blood between the front gate and the front door of the house, chipping away at these thorn bushes with all that they had. And then they opened the door, because we hope that, there's not, that part of it may not be the right example, but sometimes it seems like that. The house was hardly they could get in. It was full of junk, from floor to ceiling almost, inside. Not junk, but, the man was a kleptomaniac, is that what you call it? They can't stop acquiring things. There were boxes and boxes of unopened products through Amazon and this and that all over the place as well as stuff from when he was a kid. Everything, never give anything. Everything was accumulated. It was just a complete packed with stuff, practically. Anyway, so sometimes this takes a little while, and you open the door, and you see sometimes this. My God, there's a lot of stuff inside there. Subconsciousness. But we persevere. We don't give up. The secret Prabhupada says we carry on. You see, we carry on. We were reading last night, actually. There's a beautiful comment by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on the verses in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There's some beautiful verses there. Can't remember them. Describing how one who has faith in the process of devotional service and is very sincerely trying, but still has this inclination, for material sense gratification, which is a very common thing. And it's not just a gross one, it's a subtle one. The subtle ones are much more difficult. Sometimes we don't even notice them. They're pervading our relationships with other devotees, with the world around us, with Krishna, with the holy name, and so on. He said, even if that is the case, the devotee doesn't give up his devotional service. The secret is not to give up. Even if one may not detect it, because then it may become apparent. If we become very serious about chanting the holy name, this is one of the effects, isn't it? That Krishna, reveals various truths, if you want to call it that, but various situations which are blocking us, and various situations which we need to adopt. Both sides comes up, but we carry on, and this is a little challenging. And we sometimes think that, this is all happening because I'm in a temple, I'm with the devotees, I'm chanting. It's already there in the subconsciousness. It's just, we're becoming aware of it. We weren't aware of it before. And sometimes it's a little challenging. You weren't aware when you got to the front door of that house what was inside until you broke the door down. First thing I had to do was, stench. Sometimes it's not so beautiful. But there's a lot of good things there too. And clean it out, it's just very nice. They didn't get back to clean it. They got some few things. There was a car there. They found a car in the jungle as well, covered in foliage, almost new. We bought it a few months before we left the world. You never know what you're going to find there. Churning the milk ocean or something. You get a bit of poison, that often comes first, when you churn the milk ocean. Oh my God, what's happening? Oh my God. Sometimes it doesn't always have to seem like that. Sometimes it's like that. But we keep churning. Keep serving. So when it gets to Krishna again, so what's the next verse? The fourth verse of the seed verses. Tasha. And the translation?
Being merciful to them, I remove the darkness from their heart.
Exact. Can you say that in the full extent? The verse? Yeah. Yeah.
With the dark, remove the darkness born out of the heavens with a shining lamp of knowledge.
Clears it out. The true knowledge. Compassion. Is the mercy of the Guru, mercy of Krishna. This is possible. We're just going to quickly read. I can read from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the, you could say, the uniqueness. This knowledge is there for everyone, isn't it? Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, more or less. Not many people have entered into Bhagavatam, but at least Bhagavad Gita is there. People of different cultures all over the world have become exposed to some extent to the Bhagavad Gita. In India, pretty much everyone, rightly or wrongly. But Lord Chaitanya is almost secret. He's the real secret. It's a struggle. It's a struggle otherwise. Kali Yuga is very difficult. Even if you have knowledge, it's really difficult to apply it, to continue it, to understand, to be convinced. But it's Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So let's hear from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teachings to Sanatana Goswami. Where should we start? Somewhere around here. I can start. This text number 44 of the 22nd chapter. This is a quotation. I think it's from Akrura. Because I am so fallen, I should never get a chance to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is my false apprehension. Rather by chance, a person as fallen as I may get to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although one is being carried away by the waves of the river of time, one may eventually reach the shore. By good fortune, one becomes eligible to cross the ocean of nescience, and when one's term of material existence decreases, one may get an opportunity to associate with pure devotees. It's very rare. We sometimes forget that, how rare it is to get that chance to associate with a pure devotee of the Lord. It doesn't happen. And Prabhupada gave the example of, it's like in the ocean, the Pacific Ocean. We have the Atlantic here. In the middle of the ocean, there is a log, wood, and it's got a hole in it, reasonably large, and it's floating in the ocean. One log, one hole, one turtle is swimming somehow or another in the ocean. I don't know if turtles swim in the middle of the ocean. I don't think so. Anyway, the example is like that. And every now and again, that turtle comes to the surface for air, I suppose, just to have a look around. And at the moment it comes up, its head goes straight through that hole in the log. What are the chances of that? Pretty much zero. I mean, it's like so small. It's like that tiny grain of chances there in a little bit. So very, very unlikely. I said like that, to actually, considering the number of living entities in the material Brahmanda, the material universe, is innumerable. But the rare chance of getting association of a pure devotee really is great fortune. By such association, one's attraction to Krishna is awakened. O my Lord, O infallible Supreme Person, when a person wandering throughout the universes becomes eligible for liberation from material existence, he gets an opportunity to associate with devotees. He's got the opportunities. Is he in or out? In, he's in. He's got in, he's got through, he's here. Hare Krishna. It seems like, what is their eligibility? It's hard to ascertain, isn't it? I mean, some of you may have had different experiences, but it seems, what's going on in our lives? Look at ourselves, I don't know. Where we came from, what we were doing, so on. Where we were born. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, one who's practiced devotional service usually takes birth in a very pious family. If on a devotional path, they take birth in a devotee family, basically. What about us? Maybe some of you did take birth in a devotee family. I didn't. What's happened? Seems like really calls us mercy in some ways. Maybe whatever our past is, we don't know. Difficult to say. Different persons come from different experiences. To some degree, I guess there's a search for something more than just material life. Or we've had enough of the material world, we're looking for some relief. Krishna says the 4 types of persons. But it's really calls us mercy. We've got this opportunity to associate this. Lord Chaitanya's mercy, isn't it? Isn't this his mission? Petit Pavan. He's given Krishna consciousness even to those who don't want it. Even to those who are totally ineligible. Some or other are getting that opportunity. You go on the street. It tells you how many decades you've been going on the street on Harinam. And, it takes time, because the association that people hold is mostly almost exclusively mundane. But gradually, the exposure to the holy name, to the devotees, gradually builds up. It's good fortune. They never went on the street saying, I hope today, there are some people who do actually, by the way, now, but not much. Most people are not going on the street thinking, I hope today I will meet the devotees of Krishna and I will be able to purchase a book off of them and I will be able to progress in my spiritual life towards pure devotional service. I don't think many people are going on the street with that mentality. Even the devotees may not be going on with that mentality. What to speak of the public? Oh God, here we go again. Sometimes we're not quite in the right mood either. So what to speak of the general mass? But somehow or another, that little drop of mercy is being distributed. It's a rarity, very rare. Great fortune, Lord Chaitanya's special mercy, particularly in Kali Yuga. When he associates with devotees, his attraction for you is awakened. It takes time. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal of the Supreme Devotees, and the Lord of the universe. It doesn't say who these quotes are from, so I can't comment. It's the 10th canto, so some devotees, you don't know who it may be. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart as Chaitaguru, the spiritual master within. When he is kind to some fortunate conditioned soul, he personally gives one lessons how to progress in devotional service, instructing the person as a super soul within and the spiritual master without. All Krishna is doing. Oh my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with a prolonged lifetime of Brahma. For you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya, internally as Supersoul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. Same thing we heard just now in the Gita. Directing us how to come to him. By associating with a devotee, one awakens his faith in devotional service to Krishna. Because of devotional service, one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, and thus one's material, conditional existence comes to an end. Somehow or another, if one is attracted to talks about me and has faith in the instructions I have set forth in the Bhagavad Gita, and if one is actually detached from material things and material existence, his dormant love for me will be awakened by devotional service. Unless one is favored by a pure devotee, he cannot attain the platform of devotional service. To say nothing of Krishna Bhakti, one cannot even be relieved from the bondage of material existence without the favor of pure devotee of the Lord. There's a beautiful verse here, Jad Bharat. O King Rahugana, without taking upon one's head the dust from the lotus feet of a pure devotee, one cannot attain devotional service. That means unless one submits oneself, submissive attitude. Devotional service is not possible to attain simply by undergoing severe austerities and penances, by gorgeously worshipping the deity, or by strictly following the rules and regulations of the sannyas or grihastha order, nor by studying the Vedas, submerging oneself in water, or exposing oneself to fire or scorching sunlight. None of these things. Unless human society accepts the dust of the lotus feet of great Mahatmas, devotees will have nothing to do with material possessions. Mankind cannot turn its attention to the lotus feet of Krishna. It comes up again and again and again, isn't it? Throughout the scriptures. By their own endeavor, Prahlad Maharaj says, what's that famous verse? Just in my memory. How for those who are still attached in this world to their families, to sense gratification. Huh? The previous one. No. But the attraction towards Krishna cannot take place by their own endeavor, by combining Matirna Krishna Padadakvatova, Vito Vipadyeta Vihavatanam, Vedanta Gopir Aste. Because they're still attracted to chewing the chewed material. It's only by the mercy of the Lord. Prabhupada said, I created your good fortune. It's the mercy of the pure devotees, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. We just accept that mercy. Those lotus feet vanquish all the unwanted, miserable conditions of material life. The verdict of all revealed scriptures, this is a very famous verse. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastri Kai, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi. The verdict of all revealed scriptures is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. It may not seem to manifest immediately, but it's so amazing. Such an amazing thing. We're getting that experience a lot just recently. Simply going on the street, chanting the holy names, and seeing how, just trying to distill a few books, how people may be making their first baby step. Now, those who've had children, of course, several of you have had children, you know what it's like when your baby makes the first step. Isn't it? How do you feel? When your baby makes its first step, how do you feel? nonsense. Is that how you feel? Useless. Is that all you can do? What's the use of this? Is that how you feel? Baby gets up, makes a little step, falls down. Gets up, makes another step, falls down. You're helping. Make sure it doesn't get hurt. But how do you feel? How does a parent feel? How did Prabhupada feel when he was in Butler? Huh? Yeah, parent feels very proud. What else? Look at that picture of Prabhupada. I think it's a picture of him. When that little boy Bridge, Sally Agarwal's kid. What is Prabhupada doing? Huh?
He was joyful.
Yeah, he's very compassionate. But his expression, you can see, his face is beaming. It's like a smile, like you can't imagine. It's just oceanic, as Sally Agarwal called it. He's just so happy to see that, and that's not his kid, to see that little baby making its first step. Isn't it? And that's not the end of the story. It's not that's the, okay, you made your first step, that's it, finished. Don't make any more. It's a bit clumsy, you may fall over the next effort, right? Doesn't have the confidence, but it's trying. When a person gets that first touch, contact with Krishna consciousness, it's like their first step. If you don't make the first step, you're not going to get anywhere. With all the knowledge, theory, it's useless. You've got to make the first step. So that first step is there. When a person has his first connection, causeless connection with devotional service practice. And you feel very happy when you see them reciprocate, even if they're negative in a sense. They may have to take a little time, but the connection is there. What the speakers say: chant, wave, smile, give a donation, take some prasadam. All this is the greatest fortune that's ever happened to them in billions of lifetimes. Billions. They've had that little tiny chance, which will save one. Neha bikramo nashasti pattavaya viditeya. Save you. Those souls are saved from the sojourn of repeated miserable birth and death in this deplorable, miserable world. The beginning is there. They may have to take a little time, but it's beginning. The first step is made. The verdict of all revealed scriptures that even by a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. There's another famous verse. Tulayama lavane napi nisvargam napunurbavam bhagavat sangi sangasya matyanam kimutashishaha. The value of a moment's association with a devotee of the Lord cannot even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter. And what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which is for those who are meant for death. And we don't see that. Krishna sees that. We don't see it. Oh, it's a waste of time. Nobody's coming to the temple. When Prabhupada was in Africa, Brahmananda was there with Prabhupada. I wasn't there when Prabhupada was there with Brahmananda, but I was there shortly after. Brahmananda told me that Prabhupada had told him, because Brahmananda Maharaj at that time, had told Prabhupada that, it seems like a waste of time, Prabhupada, preaching to these people. They just come to the temple and they leave after a while and they steal everything they get their hands on. It's a waste of time. Prabhupada, he told me, I don't know. I didn't hear it from Prabhupada, I heard it from Brahmananda Prabhu. He said, Prabhupada said to him that, no, it's not. This is a mercy mission, he said. We're here to plant seeds. He said, don't expect to see a single devotee in this lifetime. This is a mercy mission. And we can't see above the clouds. We're only seeing, relatively speaking, we judge things according to how it affects me. What can we say? It's often the case. Krishna is so merciful that simply by aiming his instructions at Arjuna, he has given protection to the whole world. Anyway, it goes on and on. But the value of the association of devotees, however small it may be, is inconceivable. It never goes in vain. No, never. It may take time. Okay, Hare Krishna. Yes, Emily.
Thank you so much for So I wanted to inquire about devotee association, because sometimes we come into the company of devotees, but we're not necessarily engaged in sadhu sanghas and associating in such a way that's making us turn towards Krishna. So how can we ensure that we're really in sadhu sangha when we come to the devotees and hearing about Krishna and such an association which is really making us turn towards Him?
Yes, definitely there is sometimes a challenge there. And sometimes we may become perplexed, or we may create doubts, we may start becoming a little offensive sometimes, we may misunderstand, we may lose our enthusiasm, we may that too, whatever negatives may come, how to protect ourselves from that. It shouldn't be, definitely there will be, in any situation, that will be there to some extent, but it shouldn't be that is something we have to independently, ideally it shouldn't be something which we have to independently struggle with. It's natural when we come to Krishna conscious association. There will be different degrees of Krishna conscious association, different mixed intentions, mixed motivations, mixed level of consciousness. There's devotional service, in the modes of nature described in Lord Kapila Dev. There's devotional service at different levels of practical application. And we're supposed to, svajati is the term used, which means we're supposed to associate the correct association to help us to progress in spiritual life. And that's what the temples are in the temple. That's what Varnashram is meant for. That's what the temple is meant for. It's difficult sometimes because we're not so advanced. And, naturally opening up everything and everybody all together. But normally there's some kind of framework which helps protect. I'll give an example. When the temples in the 70s, 80s maybe, there was hardly any congregation as we know it. It was mainly just the temples. And to live in the temple, you had to live a certain lifestyle. It wasn't like anything goes. Over the years, this kind of temples have become very much trying to accommodate so many things which are not necessarily focused on the pure objective. Maybe devotees who are not really serious about sadhana, devotees who are, have a lot of mental issues, devotees who have a lot of material motivations, or some. Maybe all kinds of mixed up in one place, which, and the power of the practical application of devotional service may not be like a fire. A blazing fire can burn to ashes, even rocks practically. Metals just melt in the blazing fire. But when that blazing fire is not so strong, then their presence is very hard. So the idea, to say the idea, no one blaming anyone or anything, but that was the effect, as we've been hearing about the transformation very quickly in that strong association. And if you don't want it, you can't stay in it, it's too hot for us. But it has to be, that's the whole idea of society, is to facilitate individuals according to their particular state of eligibility, their level of maturity, their material conditioning, and so on and so forth. But we're not. It hasn't been grown very much out of the original conceptual situation, which doesn't have the same ingredients as it had before, where the temple was really strong. There was no trace element of anyone dreaming of missing the whole morning program, for instance. It just was not on it. It just wasn't even a thought, wasn't even in the mind, what to speak of the action. But that's not the situation we're faced with for various reasons. Obviously, there's different reasons are there. So it can be a little bit complex sometimes of knowing what is the right service, what is the right association, and so on and so forth. And this is work in progress, we could say. Work in progress. So we have mentors, devotees giving guidance to individuals. That's how many temples function. That when you're confused about these things, you have your mentor and you discuss it with the mentor, whatever system the temple has, so you can better know, how to relate to others. Nectar of Instruction describes how to relate to different devotees at different levels, so on and so forth, without offending others, yet at the same time not becoming affected by whatever mixtures may be there, but being positive, learning how to respect each other and encourage each other. There's a whole science of association in society, and traditionally there would be literal separation. It wouldn't be everyone all together. Different rooms. Prabhupada built a house for the whole world to live in. That doesn't mean in the house everyone lives in the same room, living in a house. So the house would have many rooms for different persons who have just different natures, different personalities. There would be a general situation, but that has to be very strong. That's what the temple is for. In a devout society, the temple is solely and wholly for burning away all of these, attachments and artas which we all carry with us. And because we have different ones, when you meet with others, your nartas, I don't like your nartas. Your nartas don't agree with me, and fight over the nartas. But the temple is specifically putting all that to where it is, focused on the deity, focused on the holy name, focused only on the service. And it doesn't matter whether you're this, that, or the other, but that should be the only focus. That's the temple. And in society, there will be naturally inclinations different people have, will be accommodated accordingly. So it's work in progress. It's one of those challenges we all face, and it's not by chance we face those challenges. It's all part of our. Narada Muni had challenges. He was going here and there. He was in the forest, going through the forest mode of goodness. So he had to rise above that mode of goodness in one sense, of thinking you can find Krishna in the forest or going wandering all over. No, it's something very personal. When you're faced with these great difficulties of what to do, there's a great opportunity for sincere devotees. They turn to the Lord in their heart. There's no other opportunity to get good guidance. Then we turn to the Lord in our heart, helplessly approaching Him for His mercy, His shelter, His guidance. And to some degree, actually to a large degree, we're kind of in that position. Even Prabhupada said, Gopaswami Prabhu, you know very well, what did Srila Prabhupada say we should do when there's a dilemma? He stood up there. What did he say? When there's a dilemma, what to do, what should we do? Go before Lord Balaram. My dear sir. What did he say?
My dear sir, this is a problem. Please, can you do something?
That's the whole thing. That's what we're here for in this movement. Is ultimately to realize that we're here to take shelter of Krishna. And he said, particularly Balaram. We take shelter. So the situation sometimes is a little difficult for all of us, sometimes here and there and everywhere. But if it helps us to remember that, to take shelter of Lord Balaram. My dear sir, this is the problem. Kindly help me. Kindly do something. You're on the right path. you're going in the right direction. It's when things like that. It's not that we can mechanically untangle everything, move people around, this thing, separate this. Never-ending challenge, never-ending. And the whole world is not at all structured like that. I mean, little degrees, some here and there, but it's like an impossible task. Chant Hare Krishna with all your heart and take shelter of Lord Balaram. Just chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And when you see, the more we take shelter of the faith in the holy name of Krishna, will clarify, will make it clearer and clearer. And Lord Balaram, we're here for taking shelter. He is Adi Guru, he's the original Guru. And all the Gurus are simply under his wing, taking shelter of the safe wing of Balaram, protecting us all. So that can be there. Of course, we should all be conscious to try to help each other and try to create. Prabhupada was expert. We may not be expert, we're not on that level. But even when he was associated with persons who were totally disinterested in Krishna consciousness, practically, Prabhupada had this way of connecting. I remember when, what was his name? Famous motor racing driver came to London. Remember his name? He lived there, he lived near the manor. He was a famous world champion motor racing driver. Cars, you know. Huh? 1973. Graham Hill. He was the world champion, I don't know what type of cars, but the world champion racing driver. He lived near the manor in London, in Hertfordshire. He came to see Prabhupada for quite a while. I mean, we only hear about it. I don't think it was recorded, I don't know, but we heard all about it for those who were in there. But Prabhupada just talked to him about racing for quite some time. Or let him talk about car racing. If he wanted to, I was inquisitive, what do you do? And, world champion racing driver, famous guy at the time, Graham Hill. And eventually Prabhupada, very lovingly, he didn't, this is all nonsense. He never said like that. He brought him round to risks involved, fear. Gradually it came round to the subject matter of, birth and death. And who is afraid, and the soul, gradually a little bit, introduced a little bit of spirituality into his life. And he was very grateful of this time with Prabhupada. He took prasadam and left, and he died 2 weeks later in a crash. And not a car crash, airplane crash. He had his own private plane, crashed not far from the man, died. But he had that little tiny, well not tiny, huge, good fortune. Prabhupada was an expert like that. He went away very happy. And, well, we don't know what his future is, but it's certainly very fortunate. We may not be so expert. As we're struggling ourselves, when we struggle ourselves, we do find it a little difficult sometimes when we're with others who are struggling too. My struggle and your struggle are not the same struggle. They seem to be different. I don't like your struggle. It's too much for me, and maybe it is too much for me. Because you have to, politely use your little. If you have no intelligence, and try to take shelter of someone who has more intelligence, and nothing else. We take shelter of Krishna, you could say. Well, intelligence, what to do here? We don't want to commit offense. We don't want to criticize. We don't want to go away. We don't want to create a revolution of some external kind. We want to the heart soften and become pure Krishna conscious. Sometimes it's very difficult. So we do have to choose our association to some extent, no doubt about that. And that you may take some good advice from whoever, your mentor or senior Vaishnava, temple managers, whatever it is. Difficult one. busy out there. Yogananda, cutting the wood, the lawns, grass. Cutting down the grass, and it will grow up again very soon. You can't just cut it down, you've got to get it out of the root. As long as the root is not removed, then these things will occur again and again and again. Right down to the root. Intensive devotional service. If you want intensive devotional service, we have to turn up the temperature a little bit, I guess. More hearing and chanting, more kirtana. Right? That's what the temple's itself, that doesn't mean the whole property of the temple, specifically is for that. That's if you go to a bank to deposit money if you're lucky, or to withdraw if you're even luckier. You don't go there to buy flowers or to, ask about Krishna consciousness. Every room has its purpose. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Take shelter of Bhagavad Gita as well.